Так. Так, добрый день.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I should like to apologize for delaying the conference. I think that I made 5 rounds around this building in order to get here. Thank you very much anyway, and thanks to the colleagues who agreed to participate in this session. The title of our session, to my mind, this is a very important topic. Does the size of the trade business matter? Let us start, and I would like to do some introductory comments, what happens in Russia, and then we will transfer to discussion, questions and answers. I represent the company Nielsen. It is an international company. Well, it is 90 years old, and this company makes a research. What are the main interests of the customers and what the customers buy? I will start with the fact that being a company, we measure the customers' confidence in 56 countries. And we see on the next slide what is the mood of the Russian consumers globally. If you see the blue line, it is a global customer. The green line is the Russian customer, and the red line is the European customer. Until 2009, we were the happiest country, where everywhere else there was a crisis and people wanted to save money, and we were thinking at that time that probably it would pass us. We will not be touched. But we were touched, and as a result, we see that by the middle of the 2012, the mood of the index of the consumer trust in Russia is going down. And globally, all these indices are very high, but they are high at the expense of the poor country. And this is a paradoxical situation. I mean, India, they are poor but happy. What does it mean when the index goes down? It means that it contains several components. People are not confident in their jobs. They are not confident in the economy. And as a result, it is not the right time to spend money. Now I want to talk about the worries of the global customer and of the Russian customer. We are very similar. First of all, we are worried about our jobs. Then we worry about the economy, about the prices going up. And then on the fourth place, we worry about health. In Russia, there was a balance between the jobs and the health, and then the purchases, they were behind. Then we will...
Процентов россиян говорят, когда они получили зарплату получки, в принципе, все потратили, все купили. У них, значит, 15% говорят, что у меня нет свободных денег, да, то есть, и что они, значит, если у тех счастливых, которые остаются, мы видим, россияне, мы в первую очередь мы хотим обновить гардероб, это 42%, да, то есть потом мы, значит, хотим там платить долги, путешествовать, значит, вне дома где-то веселиться, да, но и очень маленький процент, который будет инвестировать или откладывать на пенсионный фонд. Ну и 1% таких, которые вообще ничего не знают, если там у них деньги остаются. Когда мы спрашивали, да, то есть что покупатель будет делать, когда, ну, если там тяжелые времена наступят, он говорит, что я, наверное, буду меньше покупать одежды, меньше буду, значит, развлечения, за счет развлечений не дома, значит, отпуске. Я согласен перейти на более дешевые товары и, конечно, отложить, как бы апгрейд, я не знаю, на русском, отложить. Но если, например, вот скажу, что человека есть...
They will delay upgrading technology. They will not go for the new, they will not go for anything new. They will delay purchase. They will delay purchase of the new models. Very briefly, I will finish how we differ from the global customers. Many industries are striving to fold the wallet of the customer, but opposite from our neighbors, we see that a great portion of our income is spent for the goods, for buying the goods of the first necessity. It is the food, it is the, well, toothpaste, shampoo, and the rest of the money can be spent for other things. But also, I want to say that situation is paradoxical. As far as money is concerned, for example, I analyzed some goods, the goods of everyday demand, and if there is any hope that the middle class will grow, and I compare the prices for the everyday products, the prices went up by 30%. It means that our expenditures went up by 30%. And what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that the population does not have any more money. And again, we face a paradox because I compared that in the Western countries, people spend 20% for the goods of the first necessity. And there is a gap in prices because I compared the shops which have the same products. In Russia, we spend for the same products, for the same brands, we spend more than our neighbors in Warsaw. What does it mean? It means, maybe I'm not a very good expert, but we see that whatever crisis is, people will eat, they will drink, and they will continue eating and drinking. So I think that this industry will less suffer. But nevertheless, people spend 9% more, and they consume kilograms and less kilograms and liters of food and drinks. I don't think that in Moscow there will be a war about prices. 5 years ago, everything mattered concerning the prices, but now for people it's not only the price that matters, but it is the diversity and to buy everything in one shop because it is convenient. Talking about retail trade, we see that retail trade supposes and presumes four large formats. They occupy a large portion of the market, and it is not only the economic conditions, but it is the lawmaking policy. It will continue to grow, and the players, the top players whom we know, the key retailers, it's X5, Auchan, they feel very strongly in the territory until Urals, but beyond Urals, the situation is more complex, is more challenging because of the prices. I want to finalize, but we are trying to understand which factors will be influential, which will have a large meaning for the growth or for the losses. But there is a kind of a macroeconomy which should not be avoided. We cannot influence. There is a marketing activity. We have more shops, more promotion, more assortment, and of course it is weather. Weather we cannot influence on weather, and so we cannot influence on macroeconomy. Today I attended a meeting with retail investors who deal with the Moscow government, with the department, and everybody is expecting something because on one hand, ruble is not strong now, is not confident, and every day this confidence is melting, it's going down. We see some political changes. There will be some political changes, and that is why investors they don't know what to expect from Russia. They don't know whether to give money to Russia or not. And the retail trade and restaurants, they know that they that 40% of all the food products come from abroad, and because of the rate of exchange, they will grow in price by 25%. We know that renting price is also going up, and consequently, everything is expecting something unforeseen. Who will win? The big business, big format, large format business, which has kind of a power, or small business, small format business, which can adjust more quickly, more fast, and which can take decisions. So I will finish at this point, and I should like to introduce to you all our guests who joined our session, and let us start. Please introduce yourself. And I should like to ask you a question, whether you will do something differently tomorrow in comparison with your thinking of today, and what you are thinking about. Please introduce yourself. Good afternoon. I am Alexander Kravtsov. I am an owner of the chain of shops Royan, and in the Russian market we've created many brands: Rupt, Mosquito, Forester, and in the last 10 years we concentrate and we focus on the umbrella brand Expedition. By brand Expedition, we have 350 shops working in different countries where we distribute our goods. In the 20 shops out of the CIS territory, we develop restaurants in the Russian territory. We have restaurants in Novosibirsk, Perm, Minsk, and in the near future we will open restaurants in Yekaterinburg. I agreed to participate in this session not because I want to advertise my brands or my company and not to promote myself, but I agreed because the crisis is in the brains. In fact, there is no crisis, but it is a sharp change of the environment. And of course, we have threats and chances. And of course, our aim, our purpose is to diminish the threat and to increase the chances. I think that business has a very clear aim to receive benefit, and entrepreneurship has an aim to change the world. And when we are talking about social projects, but social projects, it means a very good thing, but it's very good when we do not ask money from the state, when we want to spend our money to make the world better. And it is obvious. The sooner the changes are, the more we have to communicate, to meet together, to exchange the opportunities, ideas, and the more we have to create our community. In 2010, in the middle of Russia, we've set up a town, a Ruyan town, Ruyan city, for entrepreneurs from Urals, from Siberia, from abroad. We will be happy to see you there. And from 2005, we are organizing a rally, Moscow, Vladivostok. And in the course of this rally, we organize activities, events, where we assemble, have meetings for entrepreneurs, and we tell them whom we've met in St. Petersburg, whom we've met in Vladivostok. In the last days or weeks, we were under a very serious pressure of news programs. It is a very serious nervous load. And I would say that there are large networks, and they work and they play their games. It doesn't matter whether it is a special department of USA or the Russian special services or some forces in Ukraine, but they are large forces where even the most responsible people, strong people, they become the hostages of the situation. And entrepreneurs, they are free people, they are funny people, and they are courageous people. And well, I want you to smile, and I want to show you one clip which we've made last year during the rally St. Petersburg, Vladivostok.
На самокат, люблю все, что летает. Эй, Мирка, ты что, стрелки опух? Вставай в пространство мировое рванет. Твой командир ветер ходит лопух. Но аппаратура при нем.
Ну вот микрофон по ходу ролика работает.
Не знаю, что с ней делать.
Пересекает озеро.
Well, we were crossing Lake Baikal on ice, and we had a wedding for 6 pairs, and some of them had to be baptized. From the territory of Baikonur, we've launched 5 non-piloted rockets. And I think as a result of this rally, there are 50, 100 contacts, and then 15, 20% we become our new partners and partners of the people whom we've introduced to them.
Собственно, мы делаем...
We've organized team training in the Russian territory, and we tried to organize it in such a way that the winner is not the one who has the most expensive car, but we wanted to keep a balance. And the 10 years that we've organized this rally, we've organized a kind of a club. Vadim Yuskov, he is a lawyer in the intellectual property, and he is a member of our club. Last year, we had a team of priests who traveled with us. because we participated in the construction of a church in the Antarctic. And one of the priests, he organized a team of priests, and they were traveling with us, and they had an icon of Nicholas the Miracle.
Вот и пойдем мы с тобой на Руси. Виктор говорит, я икон писать. С вами говорит Шипаев. 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 Молодежка, с вами говорит Шипаев.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Personally, myself, I'm convinced that people always like to travel. The whole process of traveling is very pleasant. It's a different mood, it's a different opening, it's a discovery. People would have traveled and they will travel. Probably Viktor Lukanin, company Euronet. Well, but with us it's more simple. I will talk about the market. This year we had two very strong influences which influence on portative electronics. First of all, it is the macroeconomy, our Russian economic consequences, the rate of exchange between dollar and ruble. Everything influenced the fact there is a very serious, very sharp change in the structure of portative equipment. And it gives an efficiency, it gives a result which, in accordance with our forecast, will lead to the diminishing of this electronic market. So in this situation, we have the necessity, we have some additional measures striving to increase the growth of the company. And we have two questions. First of all, the size, the amount of a company, a small, a large-scale company, or a small, large company, or medium company, or whether the size influences. The average size is 40 square meter, and if we diminish our market, electronic market, if we'll try to find emerging markets, and we will provide financing services and to find a format of trade. These are the two key issues that we are moving forward.
What do you mean by format? Smaller format? In the context of all the changes that are going on. Well, earlier, the company categorized networks by supplies and by the core segment, mobile phones. And today, the categorization of these points are by personnel, product, and the space is done on the basis of the demand type. So we need different trade space in each case, and we have theoretical calculations for all these factors. For instance, the number of personnel that can be available at a time in a certain office space. Well, in each case, we computed individually depending on the forecast of demand and some other factors. Now I invite Maria. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm, in contrast to my previous speakers, I would like to PR a little bit. And I represent a small enterprise. And in in the fashion retailer sector. I'm a PR by my education, and if we talk about the theory of PR, if it is white PR, it is not a propaganda, it's not promotion, it's just an open and transparent information. And basically, that's what we are here today. That's what we're here for today. So we can share our practices, our experience, and to draw conclusions. I'm waiting for a presentation. I will talk about some Lepp market brand I represented here. And we have a small network for the time being. And particularly for us, the question, what do we expect in the context of the political events that impact the economics? I'd say that for our company, for our brand, which represents local designers, mostly, though we look at this a little bit in the light of the Soviet Union. Certainly, it's not just pure Russian. All other ethnic groups are represented, such as Ukraine, Georgia, Belarus. But certainly, we focus primarily on Russian designers. Well, just in terms of political context and the trend, to our failing situation in the economy, our brand is positioned on the basis of the national idea, Russian designers, and I think that it will be easier for us to survive. The year of 2014 is the year of opportunity for us, and we supposed to change our strategy. Something has been already done, and I will elaborate on that when I start the presentation, if I will switch on the overheads. Okay, just today, Sunday Up market historically is a company that grew up from the festival segment of Russian designers. So this company, this brand, is a leading network of Russian designers and a leader in the festival segment. So we we arrange some events, festivals, and some other events of the kind. We will also promote our brand. So it's a brief presentation. It consists of 3 parts, and I would like to say a few words about our today's status, how we have achieved this, and a few historic remarks in the context of the image promotion, and what we are going to change in the brand, in our branding, maybe some rebranding in the year of 2014 due to the political and economic situation. Last year, Sunday Up market combined more than 300 Russian designers, and if we talk about shops only, we have 4 offline shops and 1 online beta version store. And here we can discuss different formats. So in the image trade center Tsvetnoy, we have our flagship store where different formats are presented in different price and style categories. Then in Polymer Market, which is located not far away from here in the Trade Gallery Fashionable Season, we have a corner where we represent product range of the elegant class. So in contrast to Debenhams, where the price segment is much lower and the corner is based on not on the style but on the price, here we have products in a certain price category of economy class. And in Mega Beledacha Trade Center, we have a corner of a certain format. It combines Papa Store, which is well, on a weekday it is just a simple store, and on the weekends it is a supermarket. It's where a certain stylistics is represented, which is inherent for two-hour brand as a Sunday up market. So that's about our stores. Now, talking about our history and the second area, there are a great number of markets, outlets, festivals, and events, from fashion shows to different competition and professional and vocational training, raising of young specialists in the area of fashion. And during 5 years of our existence, there were more than 100. So these events were staged not only in Moscow but also in regions, and we have our offices in regions, and some of them are more than 3 years old. And distinctive feature of this series is that each time a festival cannot be duplicated in every detail, and very often we start from the green field, and so it is quite a difficult area of our activities. Now, our history, so we emerged in 28 when we performed the first market in Russia, first market for designers. It was focused on the promotion of Russian fashion. And nobody paid attention to this segment before because it was regarded failing and hopeless. So in 2010, we had a few events in the market format and evolved up to fashion festivals, and which are distinguished from the market by a more saturated program, invitation of professionals and experts. They have also some educational aspect. Well, we carried it out on the top hubs and top stages, and we also encountered fashion retailers when we opened up our stores in trade centers, and we understood that they were ready for retail. So at that time, we modified our activities, and we transformed into first pop-up store in the supermarket Tsvetnoy. And we involve not only traffic, but we want to be where traffic already is in place. So before that, we received an award, which is very important for us. So British Council recognized us the best young fashion interpreter and got an award from them. In 2011, we continued this activity, and we moved to regions, but retail was our prime focus. So in 2011, we opened as flagship store in Tsvetnoy trade center. Then we continue our cooperation with the Podium Market, and so it's kind of a supermarket in a supermarket and a department store in a department store. And so we also received professional awards such as MMB, and it was we were quite happy about that because it was a certain level of recognition, though they were our first steps in the retail. Now we carry out image events in the regions and in Moscow, and one of the most bright events of the kind is the market in Kazan during the students' sport games. So as regards our plans, in 2014, we are preparing the launch of So we decided to shift our flagship store to our more commercially successive trade center, Rio. And we continue cooperation with the Podium Market brand, and will open up one of such stores in the regions. We also actively work with the markets and networks. We're signing contracts with such networks as Capitolium, and we'll soon launch our online store. We also opened up the first discount outlet in the discount center, Alexei. Here in the overhead, you see trade center. We will decided to relocate our flagship store. More than 200 Russian designers will be represented there. We continue our work on cooperation with markets. We also staged 2 very successful events with the Podium Market brand. We gained very good experience in the areas that will be discussed today. I don't want, just to take your breath from you, but here we are very close to our big operator, and we see a lot of benefits being in its neighborhood. So that's our first experience in the opening up of a new store, and I hope that we will continue doing that, and we'll gain a success. Thank you very much. Now I invite Michael. Would you speak up?
Michael Hughes.
Maybe you should put the...
I'll take that off. I'm president of BIRA, which represents 7,500 members of small businesses in the UK. The organisation helps businesses by lobbying on the central and European governments on behalf of these small members, plus the fact it negotiates with banks and credit card companies and offers free legal help in the UK as well, which is becoming increasingly important. Plus it offers a lot more services as well. Plus I run a small fashion business where we run women's fashion businesses in Wales in the UK. That was it. Sorry. Did you not hear? Shall I start again? My name's Michael Hughes. I'm president of BIRA, which represents 7,500 members in the UK. We're on behalf of... Sorry? It's okay. Okay, we're okay. We're good. Represents 7,500 members in the UK. Our organisation lobbies on behalf of these members to central government and European governments. We also negotiate with banks and credit card companies to get preferential rates so that we can compete with the larger companies. We offer free legal advice because in the UK and in Europe, business is becoming increasingly litigious. We offer a lot more services on top of that, but all for new businesses and for established businesses. And in the last 12 months in the UK, 1,500 businesses have shut, but 1,600 have opened. So independent businesses and small startups are now increasing in the UK. Plus, I run a small fashion business, women's fashion business in Wales, in the UK. That's me done. Was that better? That's it. That's all me done.
Так, тогда я
Okay, then I invite Ruben to speak up. Maybe we will also discuss fashion with him. here in Russia, people have quite a lot of clothes in their closets. Maybe we don't have a big flat, a big cottage, but we have a lot of clothes in their cupboards and in their closets. So I'm really fond of buying clothes here in Russia. So would you tell us if you worry about your company, about your prospects for the current year? Thank you very much. I'm Ruben Arutyunyan. I'm the president of holding Henderson, Russia. Ilona, we don't think that people have too many clothes here in this country. Because there are plenty of designers who work in this sector, and all of them try to to bring new ideas to their customers to enjoy. Every morning I open my cupboard and see there are quite a lot of clothes, but I have nothing to put on. So if we talk about getting back to the topic of the panel, so what's going on in retail and if size matters? Everything is much wider because everything, because size matters everywhere. So we are having entrepreneurs here, and I would like to give a short comment. So whichever sector you would choose, you would certainly achieve a success. But there is a rule of 10,000 hours. You need to spend 10,000 hours of your personal time to learn how to start a business, how to sustain it, and so on. Without that, you won't attain success, and also should make mistakes and learn lessons from that. So the challenge which we are facing is not the first concern here in Russia. Certainly we need to change business processes. We need to adapt prices to the affordability of our customers. And in your presentation, certainly the promotion unit, the promotion business process certainly should be enhanced. Well, and in the United States, for example, there is research which shows that if a person bought once something in a network, they will have a discount for the next buy each time. And certainly they always await good prices from the brands where they are regular customers. So this is a large market, and there are quite a lot of players. But I have a gut feeling that after each crisis, we will see certain modifications in this landscape. Like in England, we'll see new place on the game field, and certainly some other place would would quit. And the coming crisis is not less complicated. It is somehow sort of not standard, because the situation, I see the situation as follows. The crisis is over, so the whole world, but we are still entering it. So we, in our company, we've been working in this market for 25 years. So maybe we will to have a private conversations, and I will take your questions. So again, getting back to the size. So certainly the size matters, definitely, but professionalism and good understanding of what we are doing, these are the prime factors that would impact your business, and the other things would be perceived as some secondary factors, as if you are just fancy, you're a captain of vessels, so certainly the wind would interfere with your sail, but you have a compass. If you know the direction of your sail, then certainly you will get to the destination point, whatever the weather and some other conditions, and some even disasters. So now we are surviving hard times. Okay, thank you that you give the answer to my question. Okay, I'll get back to you. And now we are having our last guest. He will introduce himself. Evgeniy, you are welcome. And then we will shift to the discussion.
Good afternoon. I am Evgeniy Butman, and I am in charge of the company Ideas for Retail. We are a young business. We have 4 brands. We have 3 brands for the kids, toys for the kids, Imaginarium, Hamlet, then Mamas and Papas. And we have our own brand for the kitchen, Cookhouse. And as per results of the 2013, it was included in the one of the best brands of Russia. Since it is a wide topic, I would talk widely. First of all, I wanted to comment what Alexander said about the crisis in the brains. And I remembered a very good story when I saw a TV program from one of the American cities, which suffered from the snowfall and from a very frosty weather. Everything was frozen. Everybody was sitting at home. And at that time, they had a tour of the ballet from Novosibirsk. And one of our ballerinas who was strolling in the street without a hat, she was asked how she felt. And she said, well, it was just a usual weather, just a usual winter. Last week, I participated in an informal business club for the owners, for the presidents of different retail companies. And I was offered to be a pessimistic speaker. So I can play any role, but I play the role of a pessimist. So I want to share my ideas about this crisis in the brains. It is my 3rd crisis. The first one was in 1998, then 2008, and now this is the 3rd crisis. Well, during the last 2 crises, there was a sharp fall of the hard currency, and during a very short period of time, the rate of exchange was going up, and the ruble was increasing to the growth of import, and our retail trade is based on import or on import components. So it became stable, and then there was like a uprise. Then in 1998, at that time, there were no retail and no competition. In 2008 was remarkable because at that moment there were many players of the market who were preparing for death, and they died, and it gave the opportunity to give more oxygen to the other players. And in the first 2 crises, retail did not have a high efficiency, so fight against crisis was considered as the rise of efficiency, decrease of expenditures, the labor productivity was increased, while some shops were closed. What can I tell you about this crisis? This crisis is more complicated for retail if we talk about the tasks. My colleague said that she is a market specialist, but I'm a mathematician. My main specialty by education is mathematician. So I can say why the tasks that we have in front of the retailers are more complicated. First of all, the ruble is not going dramatically down. It is like a frog which is put in the saucepan with water, and the frog did not notice that she was boiled. This happens with the margins, with the prices, with the gradual change of the hard currency. So in the retail trade, we feel like this frog which was boiled. Then the market is overheated now. The very high wages of the employees very high rent and very high expenditures. So, and there is less potential for their decrease than in the last two crises. Then, thirdly, in principle, all the maximum weak companies, they've already cleared the market, and we have only strong companies in the market. The competition is still very high. The competition did not cease to exist, and we face a very interesting process. It's interesting to watch them, to observe them, and to participate in this process. I mean, all those who can participate in these processes who survived. 2008 was not long ago, but at that time, there were debates whether it will have an axis over V shape or a W shape. I think that this crisis, it's a W shape. We have ups and downs, and then the strategy of the company is a question about their behavior during the high season or the middle urgent perspective. Many companies wanted to have long-term strategies, and in the first front, they face the short-term strategies. So we were talking about the behavior of the customer. Now the behavior of the customer is characterized by a high level of uncertainty and of lack of understanding what will happen next. It means that at this chart, the line was smooth, but it can become like a saw up and down. Well, for example, the rate of exchange was stable for 1 week, and the consumers' confidence rose. And I think that from strategy, we go to tactics. Before I dealt with this business, I dealt with another business. If you know the network Restore, it was my company. I've set it up. And in the crisis of 2008, we were very lucky. And the iPhones came to the market in Russia in 2008, and in 2010 iPads came to the Russian markets. And I remember that my colleagues at the end of 2008, they were telling me that everything is going down, and I was happy because my company was going up. So the number of the products which make the market sustainable became less. And now the business is more regular, is more balanced. I'm talking about the product line. And then consequently, we don't have to rely on a miracle. I want to point out 3 main trends which were set up and which grew in the last years. In the retail, a portion of the own trademarks, which exists in every trade. This is very important. And in Russia, we have a very powerful industry striving to manufacture your own product. I mean that it's not necessarily that it is manufactured in Russia, but the main idea comes from Russia. Then it is a multi-channel of the productivity, which is typical for all the players of the market. And additional sales are considered as a bonus, and they are developed very fast, and they will go in the accelerating space, because the channels with the least losses will be the most productive. But our trade is, well, coming closer and closer to the world, to the global trade. We didn't have any discounting business. In fact, we don't have a discounting business like you have in America or in Europe. But now we will really have real discounters. losses. We didn't have them because of the great losses for every business, but probably if the crisis will go deeper, it will be a happy time for discounters. So that's what I wanted to tell you. Well, a small remark was regarding to the losses. Every retail company has to pay money for the rent of the facility and to pay wages to the employees. The rent of the facility, it's a very hard topic, but last year we managed to decrease the rent per square meter by several percent. But I think that we were single, we were the only one who managed to did it. And in the other retail companies, the rent was going up. That is why, talking about the potential of the losses, we have many opportunities and a lot of work ahead of us. And speaking about the crisis of the brains, I think that it is not the retailers who suffer from the crisis in the brains. It is the consumers who have this crisis. In our segment, we do not find any reflection about the change of the currency exchange. Yes, we look like a frog which is being boiled in the saucepan, but the consumers, they suffer from the crisis in the brain. Speaking about the rent, in all our centers, retail centers, except for the mega, we've done a lot, an enormous job. We managed to decrease in our 80 shops by 20%. It is a very high figure. And if you compare the exchange rate of the ruble and dollar, it means 25%. And it means that we work like monkeys. It's better than for the other retail companies. They did not decrease the rent price. Well, when I listened to Mike, I was envious because we don't have any lobby who could contradict to the real estate market in order to bring everybody in accordance with the sound wisdom. Of course, the prices for rent should be quoted in rubles. I want to add, I don't want to say about consumers that they suffer of crisis in the brains. We have to love and like our consumers. We have to help them. We help them to melt the fog in their brains. But if we do not start to work with our consumers, tomorrow we will suffer of the crisis in the brains. It is very important to understand the consumers, but again, I know what other companies do. For example, the food companies, what they do. And as 40% of the products come from abroad, but like it or not, they will have to increase the prices. And of course, it is who will pay for this increase of the prices? All of us will pay for it. Whether they like the consumers or not, that the prices will influence on us. I know different strategies which were used in 2009, in 2006. Well, the package was less. For example, visually, it looked the same, but it was by 50 milliliters less. And now, when I read in the news that Baltic company, brewery company, they suffer of crisis, not due to the political reasons, but instead of 500 milliliters, instead of 75 milliliters, they put 50.
And it was the same about butter and milk. So I'd like to ask a few words about the trademark. There are quite a lot of reasons why sometimes we don't have it. It is not than by 7% of the foodstuff in the market.
Well, the Russians, they feel difficulties to refuse brands. They will fight until the very last minute, and even during the recession, after the recession, they will come back to the brand that they are used to buy. And the most important moment for us, what the retail wants now from the market, they want a profit, they want exclusivity, and they want a fast process. And the consumers, they want the price and the quality. They don't want the cheapest product. It doesn't mean that they bought the the tissue that does not wipe the hands. Well, nothing can cost 3 kopecks. And that is why we want, even if it is cheap, we want to have a high quality. Nobody refused quality. And that is why suppliers, producers, manufacturers, I met with Magnet retail company, with Oshan, and they all expressed their issue. They do not know this very refined margin. When the consumer when the producer cannot produce a cheaper product. So I want to ask you, you said that the consumer has to see the product, but how we understand that the market will not grow, but the consumption, if there is no money in the country, the people will not consume. We understand that this will be more or less at the expense of the market. I think that the budget will be redistributed in the family. For example, people will go less abroad, and they will go on vacation in the Russian territories, and they will have more money. Well, yes, people stick to the brands, but in the last time, the brand does not weigh so much as it used to weigh before in the consumer's eyes. There is this very sharp shift, and in some segments, people were not attached to any brand. For example, before Nokia was icon and it was a legend, it was icon and idol. Now, Nokia's popularity is much less. And now we have the so-called P brands, the average products or the local products, or yes, medium range products, which technically can compete with famous brands. But regarding the prices, they are much cheaper. Sometimes they are cheaper by 50 or 30%. And within this whole activity, in accordance with this rate of exchange, now the portion of these B brands with a similar quality, but with a less prices, they can compete with the famous brands. People do not want to buy cheaper. They want to buy cheaper, but they want to buy a quality product. To my mind, when economic forecast is so boiling, is so powerful, there will be people who will emigrate, who will sell everything, who will turn out and shut all the investments. But there will be other people who will invest, who will not immigrate. And our company is 19 years old, and we've survived in 1998, 2008. And there will be companies who will not be scared and who will keep a certain pace and a certain speed, and everything will be fine with them. Do you agree that people will travel less, but they will try to find less expensive pleasures of life? People will be more nervous. and people will try to get rid of the stress. Yes, people will drink more alcohol. Some of them will go visit restaurants more often. Some people will meditate at the river shore, but women will go shopping. We have a Congress of Entrepreneurs, and I think that entrepreneurial structures active, and now we don't have any borders. If we talk about the world statistics, we will see that in the last 10 years, 30 economies were gradually and constantly growing. For example, the economy of Australia, and nothing deprives people from Irkutsk to have business with Australia. We are mobile people, and as far as Russia is concerned, we will have new products, we will have new services, new activity in the internet, and people will leave shopping malls and they will go to internet, but only those who will create something good. For example, they will go to California, they will learn to do something, they will come back here, and they will produce the same product. We have to select good services. We have to be based on our own competence, and we don't have to be scared to go forward. For example, sales of the air tickets does not go down. It means that everybody is traveling. Or do they travel one way or both way, to and from? Well, we did not calculate.
Простите вас.
Okay. We saw in your presentation, that you talk about Russian designers, and we can see that you don't have any Russian name in your brand. All the words are not that are used in the brand are associated with Russian design. Was it done on intention? No, I won't agree with you, because for some 60% to 40%, you know, there is a balance between Latin and Cyrillics in our brand. For instance, Russian names. Could you give an example? Well, yes, mostly we use Latin letters. But, you know, for instance, Yanina Bekhtchereva, this is the name of the designer, and it is represented in the brand. Well, I would also to say that in our particular case, we need to work with a large number of suppliers, and they are entrepreneurs, so we need to establish good links with even smaller enterprises than we are, and to you know, somehow adjust to the supplies and so on. So we face logistic challenges all the time, and our business depends a lot on being smart, on and on our wish to change of entrepreneurs and fashion designers. So why do we use Western names, Western brand types as models? Because some time ago in Russia, we didn't have neither designers nor distributors in this sector. And like, by the way, in many manufacturing sectors. So we always looked at the West, and the fashion industries in the West are real industries, huge industries, and the quality of product and operational costs, custom supplies and deadlines So these are all barriers to the way to success in our business, and especially in the Western market. And now designers start to understand that Russia, with its tremendous area, is a place where it makes sense to position a brand. Why do we use a foreign name? Yes, our name is not in Russian, Yarmarka, Ruski designer, but Sunday up market. Maybe a lot of Russian designers would intend to expand their brand and to go to the global market. Maybe because of that. A question to Ruben. Well, how about prices for clothes? They are so high in Russia. Why? And who are those lucky people who can buy air tickets in your company, go abroad and buy clothes, for instance, in Europe? Where do you take these high prices from? You know, there's absolutely open information. There are standard makeups in our business, and for the Russian designer, for who prepared his fashion collection from the textiles that were brought to the warehouses from abroad. We don't have highly qualified sewing specialists, and there are a lot of handicraft, by the way, work in this sector. And if we look at the final cost, we will have to have a 2% make up to the price because of the rent in a trade center, and because of the payroll I need for employees, because we have we work, for example, in our company with 200 designers, and we need to communicate with them actually every day, and we need to also to control and regulate all the supply and sales routes. If whether you are a pronounced and famous brand or not, you will have to face all these issues. Okay, Ruben, could you give an answer to my question? Well, dear friends, the question is, it's a very good question. Yes, we have crazy prices here in Russia, and it's a question to the audience. Friends, do we have people here who bought clothes from Henderson? There are maybe 5 people. Normally, we have more such people, such customers in an audience. 12 million crazy people come to our stores, every year. And maybe I don't think that there are so many actually insane people among the Russian population. So do these people think that your clothes, your offers are unique? But if we talk all the foreign brands in our segment, they have another price formation principles. Our price is absolutely honest for the quality we ensure. Now, about those who go overseas to buy clothes, about 20 million national passports were issued, and I used to only buy 10 million per people in this country. So not everybody go abroad to buy clothes. Those who don't go to Europe, for example, I think that they cannot buy expensive brands here and designers' clothes. It's generally a mass market. So what about the time? So your questions to the panelists are welcome now. Good afternoon. I'm Daniel. I'm a solar contractor. I work also in the segment of clothes and the segment of fashion. Here's a question to Ruben. Where Henderson clothes are made, I plan to raise your prices. Well, we have a website and we discuss all this on it. So we do it in 7 countries in Europe and Asia, and ingredients are bought mostly in Europe, and clothes are made in China or Hong Kong. This year we decided to to improve our costs. We don't want to raise prices. You will see, we even see some drop in price in our stores. We drop them because we understand that our consumers don't have, high income, don't have savings. So that's why we reduce prices, and we try to impose the costs on not on the consumer. We try to be affordable for consumers, so we are not planning to change our prices. For new collections, how about new collections? Are you planning to change your product range? Well, yes, it is unbelievable, but we won't deteriorate quality. We will only improve it, but we will cut costs. So 5% we spend for marketing, now it will be 1%. So where are the costs? We stopped a lot of projects within the system, some ad hoc projects. So we are now trying to cut costs, but we are not going to raise prices. Well, Ilona, here's a question to you. When you made a presentation, we showed how federal networks are disseminated even beyond the Urals. I have information, I have very reliable information that in villages, in towns, in cities with a population below 200,000, when entered by our networks, such as Peterочка or Magnet, the food retailer sector is dying out. So before it extincts, the producers extinct. So all regions where there's networks came in, supported by the government, by the way, led to the situation where we see that food manufacturers and small business are dying out. Today we see that the medium enterprises are extincting. Well, as it was said by one of the panelists, that they started developing their trademarks. So the retailers start producing foodstuff. So when they are seizing this segment of the market very intensively. So I am an entrepreneur. And what should we do? Well, we have a crisis in our wits, and economic, financial, And now we see the circumstances where we should refocus the business. Where? And a year ago, we were discussing only foodstuff retail, and now we say that we have an industrial retail, so it's also, so retail and industry also is starting dying out. So in regions, not in Moscow, so in many regions of this country. It's an ongoing process. So after 1998, the government made a stake at banks and retail. So retail is dying out. What should we do? Well, regretfully, the bigger becomes bigger and the smaller becomes smaller. Let me say that to be small is also a benefit, because you should establish contacts as farmers who live in your region, and set up a local farm-based stores. So the fresh foodstuffs is an excellent idea. Establish such links. You can do it everywhere locally, but it costs. Yes, it costs. Well, farmers are expensive nowadays. You are an entrepreneur, and you should find a solution stemming from your local setting. Yes, where you are having a big network, yes, they certainly drop prices. Well, in Moscow, you see the difference very clearly. Nobody will go to a small retail store if you have a big supermarket nearby. But in small cities, always the same. For instance, my friend Lepp works on the territory of a big supermarket, and he sells fresh bread. And it is very profitable. So you should be creative. Your product should be unique. It shouldn't be somehow united with what's going on in the center in Moscow. So just stem from your local conditions. Still, the Ministry of Industry and Trade developed the symbol of quality. It is very simple, and they want to avoid local producers with it. So, for instance, Tumen and other Siberian cities who promote local products, and they understand that we need it strongly. We'll still have them. We still have these local producers, unique for each location. And the symbol of quality would help promoting such businesses. For instance, buy food from Tumen, buy food from, Tomsk. So, and this symbol of quality product that bears the symbol shouldn't be, put on the lower shelf. It should be somewhere on the upper shelf on the store. Now, so before wrapping up, I would like to say, so when we face a challenge, I think it somehow stimulates our creativity. So about the crisis in our heads, in our heads, so a short story about that. So a man stands up in the morning, early in the morning. Well, it's in a small city, and he sees a bank across the street, and on the windows there is a fly, and he thinks, okay, it's a bad sign, and this bank will go bankrupt. So what should I do? At 5 in the morning, he decided to take his deposit from the bank. 5 in the morning, so a milkman is passing by and says, "Why are you here?" He says, "I have a pre-feeling that something is wrong with this bank." Okay, this milkman also just just come up to the banks, and there is a long line, and they all take their money from the banks, their savings from the bank. Suddenly, this bank went bankrupt. So this man get back home and said, "That's what I knew. Actually, that was I was the first to know it. That this bank would go bankrupt." So this is a vicious circle, very often. Korikova Svetlana, I use Business of Russia. A question to Maria. So you don't have your own designers on your payroll. You just cooperate with on the basis of outsourcing or part-time. So how do you do it? What is the schema? So business builds on the system of consignment and sales. So this minimizes our risks drastically. We don't have any, residues in our warehouses. This certainly simplifies our logistic model a lot. We don't have any residues of goods in our warehouses. How do you work with designers? Well, designers can come to our website. They also can encounter our brand in different trade centers and all around the country. So the people write to us asking to, to include them on the list. And we have a special scouting system, a search system on our website. What are the criteria, the benchmarks you use to select designers? In addition to the quality, adequate price, and minimal level of the process organization, availability of, for instance, a license of a sole trade. So we want to exclude a complete mess from the process. But we rest just a generation of designers. We work with high professionals who were growing up together with us. Hello, I'm Vadim. I'm from Ryazan. My business also is a small enterprise. Also is related to fashion. The question, maybe about the development. Well, I don't want to repeat this, words about failing situation in terms of the crisis. So you mentioned promotion, and Eugene mentioned that you should pay attention to alternative approaches to sales. So my question, how the promotion changed with these under crisis conditions? How maybe you changed the approach in promoting yourselves? Or what are the alternative approaches to sales of your products? Do they depend on the scale of your business? At what stage? So, well, I didn't quite understand it. So what promotion you mean? What do you mean? Self-promotion or promotion of products? Promotion of products, primarily. Now, so in the sector, 40% go to promotion, 50% of finances go to the promotion if you deal with modern goods. So promotion sometimes kills brands because it somehow smoothes their interface. There are different strategies. For instance, there is premium liquor, which suffered a lot because there were, just a trend to gift such, such liquor as gifts, as expensive gifts. So if it is an expensive brand, if each day the reduction is -40, you don't understand what's going on. What should you pay for? And the brand image is lost. So the other producers took another pathway. They, for instance, made a set, a bottle and a glass, a crystal glass, for example, and they tried not to lose, you know, this initial price. So this is my vision, and I think that well, other panelists would take this question, but in a personal conversation, because we need to close up, and the topic is actually very, very interesting.
Promotion.
Well, talking about promotion, I would say the stricter, the harder the conditions, the more aggressive is the pushing forward of the brand. Well, the cheap quality will blossom and the more expensive trend will leave the market. Now, a very cheap means for selling the products is internet sales or social networks. And in Russia, we've realized a kind of an American-Canadian shopping malls model. And the activities or the attributes of the shopping malls are very important for the consumers because the number of consumers is increasing, and it is connected with the decoration of the shopping malls, with the navigation in the shopping malls, and the promotion inside the shopping mall, and with some aggressive actions regarding the price fixing, and with what was mentioned by Ruben, decreasing the prices but maintaining the quality and the willingness of the brand to meet the demand of the consumer. But I would call it like an antichrist package. In the peaceful times, it looks differently. But if we reply to your question, if the means and the approaches have changed, no, they have not been changed. But everybody should select and choose the aggressiveness, the level of aggressiveness, and the means which are suitable for him. It depends on the life cycle of your company, on the life cycle of your product and brand, and on the tools that you are using. Probably my experience is not useful for you because you have different consumers and different prices, but you have to maintain marketing. Now everybody will be cutting prices on marketing. But for us, what I did, I agreed to have a dinner with one of the marketing specialists, and I asked him for advice. And he said, first of all, you have to save marketing tools. First of all, your business card. Make the logo of your business on your business card in the place, for example, in the place where they will see you. For example, if they take this business card from the wallet and if they see your business card, discounting business card, it will be mentioned the brand of your company. This is very important. Whether you publish it in the internet, it has to be a very specific marketing. But the fact that it will be changing, I don't know, it's a very difficult process. But without marketing, you cannot do anything. To be successful, to have a successful business, promotion is one of the vital things.
Been discounting an awful lot, and I think people now are fed up with discounts and they don't trust the discounts in the UK anymore. And about the fact that if you're buying product at full value and then 2 weeks later you discover it's 20%, 30% off, you actually devalue the product. One thing I think is very important is actually making your customers feel special. And I think it's 80% of your business will be achieved out of 20% of your customers. And so if you can find out who that 20% is and reward them, loyalty points, whatever it may be, make them feel special. Christmas presents, they don't have to be expensive, and do it that way. And we find it works very successfully. But I think discounting, which you don't do here yet much, in the UK it has gone berserk.
Я, к сожалению, не поняла.
Unfortunately, I did not understand which sphere this person who asked the question represents. But I can give you an example. Being a student, I didn't have any money. And it was hard for me to survive. It was a crisis. And we ate only biscuits. I lived in the campus. I am a Muscovite, but I lived in a campus. And the only thing I could afford is to have biscuits every day. But I spent money for taxis, because for me it was pleasant and important. And instead of walking a certain distance, I took a taxi. But what I want to tell you, to my opinion, if we say that our consumers are panicking now, and if for them, well, they are scared of the unforeseen consequences, then in any case, people will want to go by on taxi, even if they have very little money. And secondly, people who suffer from stress, they need a personal attitude. And I agree with Mike, who talked about the exclusivity. Yes, it is true that everybody wants for a penny napkins, for good quality napkins, which cost a penny. But we have to give the feeling to the consumer to feel special, to do something personal. But for this, you have to be very attentive. You have to observe your consumers. And you have to provide your consumers the feeling to be special. And then you will find a very loyal and a very dedicated audience. Dear colleagues, we have to finalize. I think that we go beyond our timetable, but this is a dilemma. There's on one hand, we want an assortment, on the other